The blue sun of Kepler 442b cast its gentle light across the peaceful valleys below. In those valleys, the Zephyrian people lived quiet lives. They grew strange fruits that glowed in the dark. They built cities that looked like giant flowers made of crystal and metal. Children with blue scales played in gardens where water flowed upward in spirals. This was a world of peace. Ambassador Thylus stood in the communication center, watching the screens with growing fear. His blue hands shook as he read the reports coming in from the outer edge of their solar system. Dark shapes moved between the stars, ships, hundreds of them, all flying the red banner of the Hegemony Empire. The Hegemony was known across the galaxy for one thing. They took what they wanted. They crushed anyone who stood in their way. Their ships were massive things covered in weapons. Their soldiers were trained from birth to kill without mercy, and now they were coming here. Thylus pressed a button on his desk. The screen filled with the face of Elder Vashti, the leader of their world. Her ancient blue eyes looked tired and sad. "They will be here in 3 days," Thylus said. His voice was barely a whisper. "Our scans show over 200 ships. Battlecruisers, destroyers, troop carriers." Elder Vashti closed her eyes. "How many soldiers?" "At least 50,000. Maybe more." The old leader was quiet for a long time. Then she spoke. "We have no weapons, no army. Our people have never learned to fight. We grow plants and clean water and sing to the stars. What can we do against such evil?" Thylus looked out the window at the peaceful city below. Children were running through the streets. Parents were coming home from work. None of them knew that death was racing toward them through the cold of space. "I could send out a call for help," Thylus said. "Ask the other races to come and defend us." Elder Vashti nodded slowly. "Do it, send the message to everyone. Maybe someone will listen." Thylus worked through the night. He wrote the message over and over, trying to find the right words. How do you ask strangers to die for you? How do you make them care about people they have never met? When the sun rose, he was ready. He activated the most powerful transmitter on their world. The message would reach every corner of the galaxy. Every space station, every colony, every homeworld would hear it. "This is Ambassador Thylus of the Zephyrian people on Kepler 442b, he began. "We are a peaceful race. We have never made war. We have never hurt anyone. But the Hegemony Empire is coming to destroy us. They want our world for its resources. They will kill every man, woman, and child who lives here." He paused, looking at the camera. He tried to imagine all the beings who would hear his words. Some would be human. Some would be like giant insects. Others might be made of living crystal or pure energy. But they all had one thing in common. They all had the power to choose between good and evil. "We are sending this message to every civilized race in the galaxy," he continued. "We beg you to help us. We cannot fight. We do not know how. Our weapons are tools for growing food and cleaning air. Our ships are made to explore and learn, not to make war. If no one comes, we will all die. Our children will die. Our culture will be lost forever." He took a deep breath. "We do not ask you to give your lives for nothing. We offer everything we have. Our knowledge of terraforming, our clean energy technology, our star maps, our art and music and poetry. Take it all if you will just save our people." The message went out across the stars. Then Thylus waited, and the answers came back. One by one, they all said the same thing. The Altarian Republic sent a formal response. "We regret that we cannot assist. The Altarian Republic maintains strict neutrality in all conflicts. We wish you well." The Crystal Confederacy was more direct. "The hegemony is too powerful. We will not risk our own people for yours. Find another way." The Quantum Collective did not even bother to reply. Their silence was answer enough. More messages came in. The Silicon Brotherhood said they were too far away. The Methane Breathers said it was not their concern. The Star Dancers said they would pray for the Zephyrians, but prayers were all they could offer. 2 days passed. The Hegemony fleet grew larger on the scanners. Thylus counted the ships again and again, hoping he had made a mistake. But the numbers never changed. 237 enemy vessels, all of them armed for war. On the 3rd day, the attack began. The Hegemony ships dropped out of hyperspace like a swarm of angry metal wasps. They formed a perfect line around the planet. Admiral Vorthak's flagship was a massive thing that blocked out the stars behind it. Thylus watched from the communication center as the first energy beams lanced down from space. They hit the orbital defense platforms. These were not weapons, just shields meant to stop meteors and space debris. They lasted about 10 seconds against hegemony firepower. The explosions lit up the sky like deadly fireworks. Pieces of burning metal fell toward the planet like rain. In the distance, Thylas could see pillars of smoke rising from the first cities to be hit. "Get me a channel to their flagship," Thylas ordered. The screen flickered, then showed the face of Admiral Vorthak. He was a hegemony reptile with gray scales and yellow eyes like a snake. His mouth was full of sharp teeth. "I am Admiral Vorthak of the Hegemony Imperial Navy," the creature said. "You have something we want. Surrender now and we will make your deaths quick." "We have done nothing to you," Thylas said. "We are peaceful people. We have families, children." Vorthak laughed. It was a sound like breaking glass. "Your planet has rare minerals. Your people have knowledge we can use. That is enough. You have 1 hour to surrender. After that, we take what we want from your corpses." The screen went black. Thylas slumped in his chair. He had failed. No one was coming to help. The galaxy had abandoned them. He opened a channel to Elder Vashti. "It is over," he said. No one answered our call. "We are alone," the old leader nodded. "Then we die as we lived. With honor. Send out one last message. Let the galaxy know what happened here. Maybe someone will remember us." Thylas typed the final transmission. His hands were steady now. Fear had given way to something else. Not courage, exactly. More like acceptance. "This is Ambassador Thylas of the Zephyrian people," he said into the void. "In 1 hour, the hegemony will begin killing everyone on this world." We called for help, but no one came. We die forgotten, but we die free. Maybe someday someone will care enough to stop monsters like these. Maybe someday good people will find the courage to fight for strangers. Until then, evil wins because good people do nothing. He sent the message and waited for the end. Outside, the sky burned with the light of falling stars. The hegemony had come to collect their prize, and no one was coming to stop them, or so they thought. Far from the dying light of Kepler 442b, in the cold darkness between the stars, something stirred. The space here was empty. No planets, no asteroid fields, no trade routes, just the endless black that most species avoided. But humans had never been like most species. The Test Defiance hung in the void like a sleeping monster. It was not the biggest ship in the galaxy, but it was built for one purpose: war. Every line of its hull spoke of violence held in check. Its armor was scarred from 100 battles. Its weapons were cleaned and ready. And inside its metal heart, 3,000 of Earth's finest warriors waited for orders. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge, reading reports from across the galaxy. She was a small woman, barely 5 feet tall, but her crew would follow her into hell without question. Her black hair was streaked with gray. Her face was marked by years of hard decisions. Her eyes were the color of winter storms. "Ma'am," said Lieutenant Torres from the communications station, "we're picking up a distress signal. It's pretty bad." Chen walked over to listen. The voice of Ambassador Thylas filled the bridge. His words painted a picture of terror and desperation, a peaceful world facing destruction, an entire species about to be wiped out, and no one willing to help. "How long ago was this sent?" Chen asked. 47 hours, ma'am. They're probably under attack by now." Chen studied the star charts. Kepler 442b was 6 days away at maximum jump speed. Even if they left right now, they might arrive too late. But that had never stopped humans before. "Get me Admiral Harrison," she ordered. The screen flickered and showed the face of Admiral James Harrison, commander of the 3rd Fleet. He was aboard the TES Retribution, somewhere in the Tau Ceti system hunting slavers. "Sarah," he said with a grin, "please tell me you have something fun for us to shoot." "Check your message queue, Jim. Priority Alpha." Harrison's grin faded as he listened to the Zephyrian distress call. "Christ," he muttered. 200 hegemony ships? Those poor bastards don't stand a chance. The Altarians said no. So did the Crystal Confederacy. So did everyone else. Wait, of course they did. Too civilized to get their hands dirty. Harrison's voice was bitter. "What's our response time?" 6 days if we push the engines hard. You? 7, maybe 8, Chen nodded. "Get Admiral Kim on the line. We're calling a pack hunt." Within an hour, every human fleet commander in the Outer Rim had received the same message. Admiral Kim's 2nd Fleet was chasing pirates near Proxima Centauri. Admiral Okafor's 4th Fleet was patrolling the edge of hegemony space. Admiral Petrov's 5th Fleet was stationed at the furthest human outpost. They all gave the same answer. They were coming. The humans had been fighting in the outer rim for 30 years. When Earth first reached the stars, they found a galaxy full of wonders. They also found it full of predators, pirates who raided peaceful worlds, slavers who stole children, warlords who conquered entire systems for sport. The civilized races had conferences about these problems. They passed laws and made treaties. They sent strongly worded letters. But they did nothing. The pirates and slavers and warlords laughed at their letters and kept killing innocent people. So Earth sent its own message. The human fleets deployed to the lawless sectors with simple orders. Hunt down the monsters. Kill them all. Make the galaxy safe for decent people. It had taken 20 years to earn their reputation. 20 years of finding slaver ships and leaving no survivors. 20 years of tracking pirate bases and turning them into clouds of radioactive dust. 20 years of showing the galaxy what happened when humans decided you needed to die. They called themselves Terra's Expeditionary Forces. The galaxy called them the Pack. They hunted together, fought together, and died together. And they had never ever turned away from someone who needed help. Chen walked through the ship's corridors, checking on her crew. In the engine room, Chief Martinez was pushing the reactors past their safety limits. In the weapons bay, Gunner Sergeant Phillips was personally inspecting every torpedo. In the marine deck, Colonel Rivers was briefing his troops on hegemony ship layouts. She found Dr. Yamamoto in the medical bay, preparing for casualties. The ship's doctor was a quiet man who had seen too much war. "How bad is it going to be?" he asked without looking up from his supplies. "Bad," Chen said honestly. "We're outnumbered 20 to 1, maybe 30 to 1. But we're going anyway." "Yes," Yamamoto nodded. "Good. I was getting tired of chasing pirates. Time for some real work." This was why Chen loved her crew. They knew the odds. They knew they might all die. And they were already planning for victory. She made her way to the communication center and opened a channel to the fleet. Every captain's face appeared on the screen. These were her friends, her family, her pack. They had fought together for years. Some would not survive the next week, but none of them would back down. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, "you've all heard the message from Kepler 442b. The Zephyrians are facing genocide. The hegemony is about to murder every person on that world. And the galaxy's civilized races have decided it's not their problem." She paused, looking at each face. "Well, it's our problem now. We've spent 30 years hunting monsters in the dark. Today we hunt the biggest monsters of all." Captain Singh of the destroyer Tess Fury raised his hand. "Ma'am, what are our rules of engagement?" Chen smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. "Total war. No quarter asked, none given. Every hegemony ship dies. Every hegemony soldier dies. We don't take prisoners. We don't accept surrender. We turn their entire fleet into scrap metal and cosmic dust. And if they try to retreat," asked Captain Nakamura of the cruiser TES Thunder, "then we hunt them down and kill them anyway. The hegemony needs to learn that some lines should never be crossed. Today we teach them that lesson." The captains nodded. They understood. This was not about military strategy or political advantage. This was about right and wrong. This was about good people standing up to bullies. This was about making sure that evil had a price. "Set course for Kepler 442b, Chen ordered. "Maximum burn. And send a message to the other fleets. Tell them the pack is hunting. Tell them to follow our beacon. Tell them we're about to remind the galaxy why humans are feared." The Tess Defiance turned toward distant stars and began to accelerate. Behind it, 23 other human ships followed. They were not the biggest fleet in the galaxy. They were not the most advanced. But they were something the galaxy had forgotten how to be. They were warriors who fought for others instead of themselves. They were predators who protected the innocent. They were the thin line between civilization and chaos. And they were about to show the hegemony empire what humans did to monsters who hurt helpless people. The hunt was beginning. Supreme Admiral Vorthak stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the planet burn below. The orbital bombardment had been going on for 3 days. Zephyrian cities glowed like campfires in the darkness. Their beautiful crystal towers melted under the heat of plasma cannons. Their gardens burned. Their people died. It was exactly what Vorthak had planned. The reptilian commander studied the tactical display with satisfaction. His fleet held perfect formation around the planet. 237 ships arranged in concentric circles like the petals of a deadly flower. No ship could approach without being detected. No force could challenge them. The Zephyrians had tried to fight back at first. Their civilian ships had attempted to evacuate people from the burning cities. Vorthak had ordered them all destroyed. Let the survivors watch their rescue ships die. Let them understand that resistance was useless. Sir, reported his communications officer, we're receiving another surrender offer from the planet. Vorthak laughed. Again? How many times is that now? 17, sir. Tell them the same thing we told them before. Unconditional surrender, and we might let some of them live as slaves. Otherwise we kill them all. The truth was, Vorthak had no intention of letting any Zephyrians survive. Dead people could not revolt. Dead people could not tell stories about hegemony cruelty. Dead people were much easier to manage than live ones. His species had conquered half the galaxy using this simple strategy. Overwhelming force, total destruction, and absolute terror. Other races feared the hegemony so much that most worlds surrendered without a fight. It was efficient. It was effective, and it was profitable, sir. The sensor operator's voice was sharp with alarm. I'm detecting hyperspace signatures. Multiple contacts bearing 270. Vorthak turned to look at the display. How many? I count. Wait, more are appearing. 24 contacts total. No, make that 26. They're still coming out of hyperspace. Identify them. Are they Altarian? Crystal Confederacy? The sensor operator worked frantically at his controls. Negative, sir. The signatures don't match any known configuration. These ships are different, Vorthak frowned. In all his years of conquest, he had never encountered an unknown ship design. Every race in the galaxy had been catalogued. Every fleet had been studied. The hegemony knew exactly what each species could do in battle. Get me a visual, he ordered. The main screen flickered and showed empty space. Then the first ship emerged from hyperspace, and Vorthak felt his blood turn cold. It was not like any vessel he had ever seen. Where hegemony ships were built for intimidation, with sharp angles and glowing red weapon ports, this ship looked like it had been designed by death itself. Its hull was dark gray, almost black, with no decoration or wasted space. Every surface was covered in weapons, missile tubes, plasma cannons, railguns, energy projectors. The ship looked like a predator that had evolved over millions of years to kill other predators. More ships appeared. Cruisers with hulls like sharks, destroyers that moved like hunting cats, fighters that swarmed like angry wasps. All of them bore the same symbol on their hulls, a blue planet with a single moon. Earth. Vorthak had heard stories about humans. Rumors from the Outer Rim. Tales of ships that appeared from nowhere and destroyed entire pirate fleets. Stories of warriors who never retreated, never surrendered, and never showed mercy to those who preyed on the innocent. He had dismissed these stories as propaganda. Humans were a young race. They had only been in space for a few decades. How could they challenge species that had been sailing between the stars for thousands of years? Now, looking at the human fleet, Vorthak began to understand that he had made a terrible mistake. The human ships did not announce themselves. They did not demand surrender. They did not try to negotiate. They simply spread out in a formation that Vorthak had never seen before. It looked almost random, but something about it made his tactical instincts scream warnings. Sir, said his communications officer, the unknown fleet is hailing us. Put them through. The screen changed to show a human face. It was a small woman with dark hair and cold eyes. She wore a simple uniform with no decorations except for a single insignia. Admiral. I am Admiral Sarah Chen of the Terran Expeditionary Force, she said. Her voice was calm and quiet, but something in it made Vorthak's scales crawl. You are attacking innocent civilians. Withdraw immediately or we will destroy you. Vorthak laughed, but it sounded forced even to him. You are outnumbered 8-1, human. Your 26 ships cannot challenge my fleet. Withdraw now and I will let you live. The human admiral smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. You misunderstand the situation. We are not here to challenge you. We are here to execute you. The transmission ended. For a moment, the bridge was silent. Then Vorthak's training took over. All ships, battle formation Delta. Target the human flagship. Prepare to fire on my command. But the humans did not wait for his command. They attacked first. The human destroyers simply vanished. One moment they were on his sensors, the next they were gone. Vorthak stared at the display in confusion. Ships could not just disappear. Then the explosions began. The first hegemony battleship died without warning. Its reactor went critical and turned into a brief sun. Before anyone could react, 2 more ships exploded. Then 3 more. The humans were not just attacking. They were hunting. Where are they? Vorthak screamed. How are they getting through our shields? His sensor operator was sweating. I don't know, sir. They're using some kind of stealth technology. Our scanners can't track them. Another battleship died. This time Vorthak saw what killed it. A human destroyer appeared out of nowhere, fired a spread of torpedoes, then vanished again before the return fire could reach it. The torpedoes hit the battleship's weak spots with surgical precision. Wherever humans had learned to fight, they had learned well. All ships random evasive patterns, Vorthak ordered. Fire at anything that moves. His fleet began to panic. Ship captains shouted conflicting orders. Some vessels broke formation to chase the ghost-like human destroyers. Others clustered together for protection. The perfect order of the hegemony formation collapsed into chaos. And that was when the rest of the human fleet struck. The heavy cruisers came in like hammers. Their weapons were not built for elegant dueling or precise strikes. They were built to smash things. Plasma beams cut through hegemony shields like they were made of paper. Railgun rounds punched through armor plates like bullets through cloth. But it was the human fighters that truly terrified Vorthak. He had seen fighter combat before. It was usually a careful dance of thrust and counter-thrust, pilots trying to get behind each other for clean shots. Human fighters did not dance. They attacked like rabid animals. They flew straight through hegemony formations, ignoring defensive fire that should have killed them. They pulled maneuvers that would crush any normal pilot. They worked together with a coordination that seemed impossible. And they never ever stopped attacking, sir. The communications officer's voice was close to panic. Admiral Krex is requesting permission to retreat. Vorthak looked at the tactical display. In 10 minutes of fighting, he had lost 30 ships. 30, the humans had lost none. Retreat? He snarled. We are the hegemony. We do not retreat from inferior species. But even as he said it, Vorthak knew he was lying. These humans were not inferior. They were something the galaxy had not seen in 1,000 years. They were a species that had evolved for war, and they were very, very good at it. The battle was not going according to plan. The battle was not going according to any plan that Vorthak understood. The humans fought like demons. They fought like they enjoyed it. And worst of all, they were winning. Vorthak watched another of his battleships die and finally admitted the truth to himself. He had not come here to conquer a planet. He had come here to die. The only question now was whether any of his ships would survive to warn the hegemony about Earth's terrible fleet. He was beginning to doubt it. The space around Kepler 442b had become a graveyard. Broken pieces of hegemony ships drifted in the darkness like metallic snow. The beautiful formations that Supreme Admiral Vorthak had been so proud of were gone. In their place was chaos, terror, and death. Admiral Sarah Chen watched the battle from the bridge of the TS Defiance. Her fleet moved through the enemy like wolves through a flock of sheep. This was not a battle between equals. This was an execution. Status report, she said calmly. 63 enemy ships destroyed, reported Lieutenant Torres. 12 damaged and retreating. No losses on our side, Chen nodded. The hegemony had expected to fight a civilized war. They had built their ships for intimidation and bombardment. Their tactics were designed to terrify weaker opponents into surrender. They had never faced an enemy that was designed specifically to kill other warships. Humans had learned to fight in the dark spaces between the stars. They had been shaped by 30 years of hunting pirates and slavers who fought with cunning and desperation. Every battle had taught them something new. Every victory had made them deadlier. The hegemony was about to learn what happened when a predator species decided you needed to die. Colonel Rivers, Chen said into her communicator, how are your Marines doing? The voice that came back was rough with combat fatigue. We've cleared 17 enemy ships, ma'am. No survivors as ordered. This was the part of human warfare that terrified other species the most. When human ships disabled an enemy vessel, they did not just destroy it. They boarded it. Human Marines would hunt through every corridor, every room, every hiding place. They would find every enemy soldier and kill them with knives and guns and bare hands if necessary. Other races found this barbaric. They preferred clean deaths from a distance. But humans understood something that the civilized galaxy had forgotten. Sometimes you had to look your enemy in the eyes when you killed them. Sometimes you had to make it personal. Understood, Colonel. Continue operations. The hegemony fleet was breaking apart. Some ships tried to run, others clustered together for protection. A few brave captains tried to ram the human vessels in desperate suicide attacks. None of it worked. The human destroyers had surrounded every hyperspace exit point. Ships that tried to flee found themselves trapped in a net of death. The human cruisers systematically hunted down the vessels that tried to hide behind the planet's moons, and the human fighters swarmed over any ship that showed the slightest sign of resistance. On the bridge of his flagship, Supreme Admiral Vorthak realized that he was witnessing something that had not happened in the galaxy for over a century. A lesser fleet was completely destroying a superior force through sheer skill and ruthlessness. "Get me Admiral Chen," he ordered. The human admiral's face appeared on his screen. She looked completely calm, as if she were discussing the weather instead of commanding a battle that was reshaping galactic politics. "Supreme Admiral," she said politely, "I assume you want to surrender." Vorthak struggled to keep his voice steady. "I want to offer you terms. My fleet withdraws. We leave this system and never return. In exchange, you let my remaining ships go." Chen smiled. "Counteroffer. You die, all of you. Right here, right now. You cannot be serious. There are rules of war, conventions. Even pirates are allowed to surrender." "Pirates who prey on the innocent are not allowed to surrender to us," Chen said. "And you are not just pirates. You are genocidal monsters. You came here to murder an entire species. You have forfeited any right to mercy." Vorthak felt something he had not experienced in decades. Fear. True, bone-deep terror. "The hegemony will not forget this. We will send fleets to burn your homeworld. We will hunt down every human in the galaxy." "No," Chen said quietly. "You will not, because in about 10 minutes you will all be dead. And the message we send back to the hegemony will be very simple. This is what happens when you hurt innocent people." The transmission ended. Vorthak stared at the blank screen, finally understanding that he had made the last mistake of his life. The final phase of the battle was not really a battle at all. It was a demonstration. The human fleet moved with mechanical precision, destroying the remaining hegemony ships one by one. They showed no emotion, no excitement, no bloodlust. They killed with the same calm efficiency that a farmer might use to slaughter livestock. Captain Singh of the destroyer Tis Fury tracked down the last group of fleeing ships. They were trying to hide in an asteroid field, hoping the humans would not find them. Singh found them in less than 5 minutes. "This is Captain Singh of the Terran Navy," he broadcast. "You are guilty of attempted genocide. You have been judged and found wanting. Goodbye." The asteroids lit up with missile strikes. When the light faded, nothing remained but expanding clouds of gas and debris. On the planet below, Ambassador Thylus watched the battle from his communication center. He could barely believe what he was seeing. The massive hegemony fleet that had seemed so invincible was being torn apart like paper in a storm. "Elder Vashti," he called. "You need to see this." The old leader hurried to his side. Together they watched as the last hegemony battleship exploded in a brilliant flash of light. The sky, which had been full of enemy ships just hours before, was now filled only with wreckage and the sleek forms of human vessels. "Is it over?" Elder Vashti whispered. "Yes," Thylus said. "They came. When no one else would answer our call, they came." A new voice filled the communication center. It was Admiral Chen, broadcasting on all frequencies. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Terran Expeditionary Force. The hegemony fleet has been destroyed. Your world is safe. We are sending medical ships to assist with casualties and relief supplies for your people." Thylus activated his transmitter with shaking hands. "Admiral Chen, this is Ambassador Thylus. We cannot thank you enough. When everyone else turned away, you came. Why? Why did you risk your lives for strangers?" There was a pause before Chen answered. When she spoke, her words carried across every communication channel in the galaxy. Every species, every world, every space station heard what she said next. "Because when someone calls for help, decent people answer. Because the strong have a duty to protect the weak. Because evil only wins when good people do nothing. And because no one should die alone and forgotten." The ambassador felt tears running down his blue-scaled cheeks. "What can we give you in return? Our technology? Our resources? Name your price." "Keep your technology," Chen said. "Keep your resources. All we ask is that you remember what happened here. Remember that someone came when you called. And if you ever hear another cry for help from somewhere in the galaxy, remember that you have the power to answer." In the hours that followed, human medical ships landed on Kepler 442b. Human doctors worked alongside Zephyrian healers to treat the wounded. Human engineers helped repair the damaged cities. Human soldiers helped clear the rubble and search for survivors. But the most important thing the humans did was something much simpler. They stayed. They did not conquer the planet or demand tribute or set up a military base. They just stayed long enough to make sure the Zephyrians were safe. Then they left, disappearing back into the darkness between the stars. The galaxy would never be the same. The message had been sent and every species had heard it loud and clear. Earth's fleets were out there watching and waiting. They would come for anyone who preyed on the innocent. They would hunt down any monster that hurt helpless people. The age of unchallenged evil was over. The humans had seen to that. And in the deepest parts of space, in the secret places where pirates and slavers gathered, a new fear was born. It was the fear of ships that appeared without warning. Ships crewed by warriors who fought like demons and showed no mercy to those who deserved none. The galaxy had learned to fear the pack, and that fear would keep many innocents safe in the dark years to come. The cleanup took 3 days. Human ships moved through the debris field around Kepler 442b, like vultures picking over a battlefield. But they were not looking for treasure. They were making sure no hegemony survivors had escaped to spread word of what had happened here. Admiral Sarah Chen stood in the observation deck of the TES Defiance, watching her crews work. Salvage teams cut apart the larger pieces of wreckage. Scan teams checked every chunk of metal to make sure no life pods had been missed. The message had to be complete. No hegemony soldier could be allowed to return home with stories of human weakness or mercy. "Final count, ma'am," reported Lieutenant Torres. 237 enemy ships destroyed. 0 survivors, 0 escapes. Chen nodded. Perfect. The hegemony would eventually notice that an entire fleet had vanished. They would send scouts to investigate. Those scouts would find a graveyard and a simple message beacon left behind by the humans. The message would be short and clear. This is what happens when you hurt innocent people. Any word from the other fleets? Chen asked. Admiral Harrison reports successful engagement with hegemony forces in the Vega system. No survivors. Admiral Kim destroyed a slaver convoy near Proxima. Also no survivors. Admiral Petrov found a pirate base and turned it into radioactive dust. Chen smiled grimly. The message was being sent across the galaxy. Humanity had decided that enough was enough. The age of unopposed evil was ending. "Ma'am," said Dr. Yamamoto over the ship's intercom, "the Zephyrian delegation is ready to see you." Chen made her way to the conference room. Ambassador Thylas waited there with Elder Vashti and several other Zephyrian leaders. They all looked tired and shaken, but alive. That was what mattered. "Admiral," Thylas said, rising to his feet, "we have spent 3 days trying to find words to thank you. We have failed. There are no words for what you have done." "No thanks necessary," Chen replied, taking a seat across from them. "We did what anyone would do." Elder Vashti laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Anyone?" "Admiral, we sent messages to 43 different species." 43, do you know how many responded with offers to help?" "1, Chen said quietly. 1, only Earth answered our call. Only humans were willing to risk their lives for strangers they had never met." The old Zephyrian leader leaned forward. "Why? What makes your species different?" Chen was quiet for a long moment, thinking about how to answer. "Maybe it is because we know what it feels like to be helpless. Humans spent most of our history being prey. We were hunted by bigger, stronger predators. We survived by working together, by protecting each other, by never abandoning our own." She gestured toward the window, where Kepler 442b hung in the starlight. "When we heard your message, we did not see aliens. We saw people in trouble, and when people are in trouble, you help them. It is that simple." "But the cost," protested Thylas. "You risked your entire fleet. You could have lost thousands of lives. For people you had never met." "Risk is part of the job," Chen said. "We accepted that risk when we chose to hunt monsters in the dark. Your people did not deserve to die just because you were weak. Strength without compassion is just bullying, and humans have had enough of bullies." Elder Vashti reached into her robes and pulled out a small crystal device. "This contains our complete scientific database. Terraforming technology, clean energy systems, medical advances, agricultural techniques, everything we have learned in 5,000 years of civilization. Please take it. It is the only gift we can offer that might equal what you have given us." Chen looked at the crystal but did not take it. "Keep your knowledge. Share it with species that will use it to help others. That is payment enough for us." "Then what do you want?" Thylas asked, confused. Territory? Trade agreements? Military bases? We want you to remember, Chen said. Remember that when evil comes for the innocent, good people have a choice. They can look away and pretend it is not their problem. Or they can stand up and fight. We want you to choose to fight. She stood up, preparing to leave. Your world is safe now. The hegemony will not return, but there are other monsters out there. Other helpless people calling for aid. When you hear those calls, remember what happened here. Remember that someone came when you needed them. And ask yourself, will you be the one who comes for others? The meeting ended and Chen returned to the bridge. Around the planet, human ships were beginning to move into departure formation. Their work here was done. It was time to return to the darkness between the stars, where other monsters waited to be hunted. Ma'am, said Torres, we are receiving a priority transmission from Earth Command. Put it through. The screen showed the face of Admiral Thompson, head of the Terran Navy. He was an old man with kind eyes and a steel spine. Sarah, I have been watching the reports from your sector. Excellent work. Thank you, sir. The hegemony has been taught a lesson they will not forget. Indeed, but it is not just the hegemony that has learned something today. Every species in the galaxy has been watching. They have seen what happens when humans decide to act. Chen frowned. Is that a problem, sir? On the contrary, it is exactly what we hoped for. The galaxy has lived in fear for too long. Fear of the hegemony, fear of pirates, fear of slavers, fear of anyone with more guns and fewer morals. Today you gave them something new to think about, sir. You gave them hope. You showed them that the monsters can be beaten, that evil does not always win, that sometimes when everything seems lost, the cavalry comes over the hill. Thompson smiled. The communication networks are buzzing with reports of your actions. Every civilized world in the galaxy knows what happened at Kepler 442b. What are they saying? They are saying that Earth has the strongest fleet in the galaxy. They are saying that humans keep their promises. They are saying that when someone calls for help, Earth answers. Thompson's expression grew serious. They are also saying that the balance of power has shifted. The hegemony was the biggest threat in the galaxy. Now they are afraid of us. Chen considered this. Are we prepared for that responsibility? We have been preparing for it for 30 years. Every pirate we hunted, every slaver we killed, every innocent we saved, it was all training for this moment. The galaxy needs a protector that cannot be bought, cannot be intimidated, and will not compromise with evil. And if other species decide we are the threat, Thompson laughed. Let them try. They have seen what we do to monsters. If they choose to become monsters themselves, they will learn the same lesson. The transmission ended and Chen turned back to the stars. Far below, the Zephyrians were rebuilding their world. Across the galaxy, other species were reconsidering their positions. Pirates were looking over their shoulders. Slavers were finding new professions. Warlords were discovering urgent business in distant sectors. Set course for the outer rim, Chen ordered. Standard patrol pattern. And monitor all distress frequencies. Someone out there might need help. The TES Defiance turned toward the darkness between the stars, followed by the rest of the human fleet. They disappeared into the void like ghosts, leaving behind only scattered debris and a simple message beacon. In the years that followed, that beacon would be found by hegemony scouts. They would analyze its contents and send the results back to their homeworld. The message would spread through the hegemony government like wildfire, reaching every admiral, every general, every political leader. The message was short, only 12 words. But those 12 words would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. Earth is watching. Earth is waiting. Earth remembers everything. The age of unchallenged evil was over. In its place came something new. Not perfect peace, there would always be monsters in the dark. But for the first time in centuries, the monsters were afraid. They were afraid of ships that appeared without warning. Ships crewed by warriors who fought like demons and showed mercy only to those who deserved it. Ships that hunted in packs and never gave up, never gave in, and never turned away from a cry for help. The galaxy had learned to fear the pack, and that fear would keep many innocents safe in the dark years ahead. Somewhere in the void between stars, Admiral Sarah Chen sat in her command chair and smiled. The hunt continued. It would always continue as long as evil existed and good people were willing to fight it. And humanity would always be willing to fight.